Hello, everyone. Today we thought we'd take some time to talk about channeling and maybe do some channeling here. So Lori, what does channeling mean to you?
I think it means accessing your higher self, higher wisdom. I used to think it was some really like you had to be some special person that was, like a monk or a guru or a yogi or somebody that was really like on top of a mountain. But what I'm trying to say is that it's accessible to all of us, and we all have the ability to channel, to access higher wisdom, to bring forth messages or um, wisdom to help ourselves through writing or through speaking, or there's a lot of different ways, even music. Um, I think there's a lot of different ways to channel, and I think we can all channel, but it's about being aware of it and just knowing that we have support. That I just feel that so strongly, that we have so much support, and that we have non-physical support as well as our physical family and friends, and that they're here and they're in a higher level of not in physical form, but they're in a higher level. But the messages that I've heard from them, from other channelers, is that they are us and we are them. So there's no hierarchy. There's no, this person is special because they can do this. It's because we can all do it, and we all can communicate with each other and with our non-physical higher wisdom or higher selves.
Yeah, so I agree with everything you say and have said. And for me, it's the same thing. I believe that it's channeling for me is coming into a neutral, quiet place where I can hear my wisdom coming through. I believe it's connecting with your higher self, with your soul, with that part of you that's quiet and soft inside that you don't normally hear. It's your true self, your wisdom inside of you. I know that there are many fears and myths because there's many types of different channeling. I mean, my first experience with channeling was through Edgar Cayce. He put himself into a trance. There is a theory that Edgar Cayce believes it was his higher self, although he talks about it as being beings outside of himself, that some of his readings stated that it was just his higher self coming through, his wisdom coming through. So there's some fear about, your body being taken over, stuff like that. And that's not what all channeling is. There is some form of channeling where people get out of the way and let others come in, but it's not all of channeling. And I believe that those are steps and agreements. I don't, you're in control, and just like with hypnosis, you're not giving your power away to somebody else. You're in control, but you're allowing this wisdom to come through. I also have it under belief or opinion that what we call our guides or these other beings outside of ourselves are just future aspects. I mean, like Laurie said, he says that we are you and you are us. And for me, that is an aspect of our own self, right? If everything source is the source, it's an aspect of source or God or whoever you want to say. So is that then not in turn ourselves? I mean, that's a whole nother conversation. But so I don't fear talking to myself. And to me, that's what channeling is. Channeling is getting clarity for myself. I'm going to give you an example. My very first ever experience with channeling was going through a really, really hard time in my life, and I could not find the answer I needed. I only saw two options. There was option A and option B, and there were no other options. And I had to make a decision between these two. And I spent many days and nights crying and begging for help, begging for the answers. And when I got really quiet enough and I took the time over and over again to really sit and try to find the clarity and what answer was best for me, it was my first experience of channeling, of this answer coming through and saying, there are not just two options here. You have many other options, ones that my human physical self could not see any other options. And that was how I knew that I had channeled some, another aspect of myself, or another guide, or a different source, whatever you want to call it. It didn't matter to me. I knew it was purely loving, and I knew that it was, when I heard that there was another option and here was road C, D, E, and F, it just lifted all of this weight and heaviness off me. So to me, channeling is hearing and seeing wisdom that you didn't even know was there, and helping you to find a new path, a new way of looking at something, of doing something. It's finding that clarity that you find is missing, whatever you want to call it. It's getting quiet and centered enough to hear those messages, to hear that wisdom come through.
That's beautiful, Lori. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, long-winded too.
Oh, no,
We're talking about how to do
that's
it, right?
very helpful. I agree with you about the fact that the energy that comes through is loving, and that's a very important point. You're going to feel the loving energy, the support, as I said, and we are very loved, and we are love. So that's what comes through. If anything else is coming through, if you've tried it yourself, it's something else, anger or fear, then that's not the right situation. So channeling is always accompanied by love. Just wanted to make that point.
And they don't make decisions for you.
Correct.
Right? Don't tell you to do something.
Correct.
They'll give you options like, this is what you can do, but they're not in control. If you're saying my guides, or the beings I channel, or whoever you think they are, is telling you have to do something, then no, because you don't. They're never going to tell you. They're going to, give you guidance. They're a support team. They're not going to tell you what to do. So I think when you get to a place in channeling that you don't give your power away to anything, like Laurie said, they're not above us or higher than us or wiser than us. They see a different perspective, and that's what they offer, a different perspective, and you to come to your own decisions.
That's right. Yeah. And also we listened to Lee Harris, who had a information about channeling, and he had some good advice. He said a really good way to start to write is to write every day. Say, what the question is, what does my soul want me to know today? And then just write, no matter what it is, just keep writing and read. It could be a few sentences, a few words, but just keep writing, and then read what you've written, study what you've written, and then do it again the next day or that week, and just make it consistent. And it gets easier, but you also find that, wow, I'm getting some guidance. I'm getting some good support. I'm getting lots of love. Sometimes, most of the times, it's very simple. I find it's just a very simple reminder of who we are, of our light and our love, and how special we are. I find that that's coming through a lot. But again, I'm getting back to the writing exercise. It's very helpful.
Yes, and it grows your confidence, right? I mean, I'll tell you, as Laurie was just saying, when I listened to Lee Harris the other day, I wrote the question down, and the only answer that came was relax, be at peace. And I could feel my nervous system starting to relax, that I didn't even know my nervous system was tightened, right? Was there, and needing to be softened. It was a really simple, quick message, and one you could say you came up with by yourself. But I needed to hear it because I didn't even know that there was tension there. And I needed that moment to let go and to relax. And I felt my shoulders come down. It can be that simple. And the more and more you practice, the more that the doubt and the insecurities go away. You just start to enjoy the messages versus caring whether you're the one making it up or not. Because truthfully, it doesn't matter whether you did or not. It's something you need to hear. The best advice can come from yourself, right? You have an inner wisdom, one that you're probably not listening to because this is getting in the way, right?
That's true. Yeah, and I like what you said at the very beginning is that when you're channeling, you just come to a quiet space, which most of us are running around and we're busy and our minds are going a mile a minute. So just settling yourself in, getting quiet, just breathing and just going, listening to that still quiet voice that's always there, lovingly guiding you. You're able to hear it. You're able to access it just for that time that you settle yourself down.
Right. Right.
It's been a very helpful for me, for my life. It's been guiding. It's been a good guiding process and a good beacon for me. It's just been very practical and helpful. And I also like to share it too, to help anybody else that might need some words of encouragement.
Right. Right. It's a good support system.
It is. And we all have access to it. It's not something
Mhm.
just given to a few people. It's anyone can have access to their own wisdom and higher self.
That's a great point. And you know, it does take practice, but it takes practice to consciously hear it and to know it. But we're all channeling all the time, every day, right? You're in conversation with somebody and you say something and you're like, oh, that was pretty profound. I don't really know where that came from. Or suddenly you know something you don't really know how you knew. That's channeling unconsciously, right? We're all doing it all the time. What we're talking about it is making it conscious. So it's not something somebody special has. It's somebody took the time to make it conscious and to work with. But we're all channeling all the time, which is our own inner wisdom, right? Our own higher self. And are we afraid of ourselves? Like we shouldn't be, right? So yeah, we're all doing it all the time. Just make it conscious, like really hear and get to know that wisdom that you have within yourself.
Good point. I find it too when I first started writing, I really felt drawn to go outside and sit in the chair and just sit by the trees and the wind and the birds were around, and I just felt lighter and more able to relax and just start writing. So that's how I started, was writing.
Which is great. And like I've already shared, I started under real pressure and trauma, right? And that was how I bursted through. You know, there's no right or wrong way. There's your way. Find what works for you. Try different things, right? Do a little meditation first and then go out in nature like Laurie did. I don't suggest trying to find trauma to work through. It's not needed, not needed to do it the way that I had, you know, that I found it. Just take the time. It just takes you making the time to sit with it however feels good for you.
Yeah, practice.
Yeah. Yeah,
And it's helpful.
most definitely. Most definitely. I mean, I've heard Sarah Landon is another one that both me and Lori enjoyed listening to. Esther Hicks is another one. And I've heard both of them say that they've had some pretty profound channeling messages come through when they're on a busy airplane and they've got their headsets on, and so they're blocking out everybody. So it doesn't take a requirement or have do's. You could do it anywhere. You could be having coffee, right, at Dunkin' Donuts or wherever, and find the space you need, the quiet. Maybe you put the headphones on and do some journaling or channeling right there. Find what works for you. There is no right or wrong. There is no big production you have to do. It's just finding the time, giving it the time that it needs to be worked. I'm Laura, you can probably say it better than me.
That's fine. Yeah. Oh, that's right. And I was another way to practice is that Lori and we talk on the phone, and we started practicing by Lori would ask a question and I would get quiet, and I would practice channeling the answer, and vice versa. I would ask Lori a question and she would practice channeling the answer. So that was very helpful, just to have that back and forth. Sometimes it's good to just have someone there to help you to practice.
Yeah. So maybe we'll do a round or a couple rounds of that. So you can see how it flows. And, you don't have to have a partner. Both Laurie and I started writing and journaling. And then we felt comfortable enough to help each other and support one another and was very urged to start doing a back and forth between the two of us. So if it's helpful for you and you feel like you need that support, then find a partner to share in the journey with you, to help you support one another through it. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you'd like to, we can do a question and answer. And usually when I'm speaking, I like to close my eyes just to get quiet. Is that how you do that too, Lori?
Yes. Yes. And I offer, if you're interested in this and you want to post a question down below that maybe you would like some guidance or a channeled message to help you, put it in the comments below, and we'll either answer you, or maybe we'll have another episode where we ask your questions and see what channeled answers come through.
Great idea.
All right, so we're just going to take a couple minutes to kind of get into a centered, open space.
So Lori, I have a question.
Okay.
So how can I be more confident in my decision making, that it's the right thing to do?
Well, first, let us say that there is no right or wrong. Decisions are made and you learn from them which works for you, which path you want to take. Whatever decision you take is the right one, because in learning that you've made this decision and you are not comfortable or not at the place you wish to be, you can now change your mind. We always feel like if we've made a bad decision or we've made a decision that is not good for us, that somehow that's a failure or a misstep. And it's not. It's now you know that this could have been a path for you, but it isn't one that you want. It's not leading to the outcome or the feeling or the place that you want to be. But it was never wrong. But in your question, is there a way of coming to that conclusion without having to learn that first? Or that's not the right way to say that. To get to the path you want quicker, with more clarity, then we suggest that you really sit in a quiet space and feel into both paths. And be truly, truly honest with yourself on how you truly feel making either decision. And it's always good to ask, is there another option I am not seeing that could get me to the outcome I desire? So it's getting clear on what your outcome you desire is, being honest with yourself about how you feel about both paths, which one feels better, releasing and surrendering the fact that any decision is a wrong decision, surrendering and releasing that after making a decision, if you need to pivot, that is perfect. That there is no judgment in pivoting and making a decision and then finding out this isn't the outcome that you wanted. It's not bringing you the joy that you wanted, and changing. Releasing that judgment. If you start a business and a year from now, it's not bringing you the joy and the satisfaction that you were looking for it to bring you, there is no failure in it. You learned. You now know that what you thought would bring you joy isn't what brings you joy. There's no failure in that. Pivot to now discovering what will fulfill you in the way you wanted.
Thank you. That
I
really,
hope that answers your question.
it totally resonates with me because I've done that a couple of times. Like I will go down this road, and then I learned that no, it didn't bring me joy, and I turned around. But I've learned to not be like embarrassed about that or beat myself up. It takes a little. That was a great reminder, and I really appreciate that. Really resonated with me, and I hope it resonates with other people too.
I mean, even with myself, right? I mean,
Mhm.
for me, what came across was sometimes I hold on to things too long because it's what if, and I'm trying to pivot to make this into something that will fulfill the feeling I wanted it to, when really I need to let it go and discover it. And I'm holding on to it, trying to manipulate it into something I want it to be, when really I should just let go and allow it to open up and to develop into what I want it to.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. My question is, what is my next step to help me move in the direction of opening myself up more to my abilities, my psychic abilities, to my true path?
First, we'll say that all the wisdom that you need is within you, that you just have the wisdom inherently within you, and it's in your higher self is guiding you, and is every step you take is the right step. You are going forward and you are learning and you're opening, you're accessing your abilities naturally because that's what your heart wants. So your heart is guiding you. Your mind isn't guiding you, but your heart is. And your heart is what's connected to the broader picture. Your heart is what's connected to the broader cosmos, to your future in this timeline. And also your heart has the wisdom that you need to access. So you really don't have to try. It's going to unfold. I'm seeing a flower unfolding. It's going to unfold like a flower, and all the fragrance is released naturally, reaching towards the sun, which is your heart. So again, it would be trusting that you already know what you need and that you have a golden key to unlock that wisdom, and trusting that you can access that wisdom with the key by being still, by going within, by not trying to find the answer outside of yourself because it's all within you. It's kind of like a magic dance that you're doing, that your heart is leading you in this dance. And you're following the footsteps of the dance, and the music is just perfectly playing for you. So enjoy the dance.
That was wonderful. That was wonderful. So yeah, I've had a difficult time. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm confused, or I don't have clarity on a question I want asked. Even with like tarot readers or oracle readers or mediums that I see, or when we're channeling, I find it really difficult to ask questions because there's a part of me that's like, the answer. I know that it's all within me. I know that I have all the answers, but I feel like we feel like we shouldn't, and that we need that validation. So that definitely resonated. And then when you mentioned keys, so since my very beginning, 10 years ago, when I started the spiritual journey, keys have been a big sign for me. I got right away in the very beginning. I was seeing keys, 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 and I went down this, journey of keys, and they've always been there. So keys are like a big sign for me, like, this is it. So I loved that you used that in your channel. So that was just for me, like, listen up, the keys, and about keys. So listen.
Oh,
So
beautiful.
thank you.
Yeah. I in my my mind's eye, I saw a golden key, and so that was for you.
I appreciate that. That was beautiful. Yeah. Yeah.
And it feels so good. It feels like we've got a cheerleading squad, right here,
Right.
cheering us on, and really, it's very supportive.
Yes. Yes. So, why don't we take these last couple minutes maybe to explain what it feels like for each one of us when we're channeling? So for you, how does it feel when you channel?
Oh, it feels joyful. Yeah, it feels so loving, as I would keep saying that word, but it really does. It feels like we're it's a flow, and it just comes, and it doesn't and I'm listening too as I'm talking. I mean, I'm letting it come through, but I'm also listening. I mean, I'm aware of what's happening. And also when we're writing, I love to read back the messages after I write them. So I'm like, wow, this is so beautiful. This is just what I needed to hear, or this is makes me feel good. It makes me feel stronger. Sometimes it makes me feel more uplifted, encouraged, like I can do this. So channeling it's getting, as we practice, it's getting more easy for me to speak it. I was writing it mostly for a while now. To speak it, it just comes through it comes in my thoughts. I mean, I can see pictures and thoughts, and so you're trying to translate what you're translating what's coming through in your impressions, and that's the beauty that just having it flow through is for me. Maybe not saying that very well, but
No, no, you did do. That's valid.
Mhm.
For me, when I am channeling and writing, I feel more present. Sometimes I get an itchy nose. I can feel that, there is more energy around me. But I'm conscious of what I'm writing. When we do this interaction where we ask each other questions and we get present, in the beginning, I am fully present and I can always hear what I'm saying, but it feels like me at first. There's a little bit of doubt in me, like it feels like I'm answering the question. And then as it starts to flow and I just let the fear go and just keep continuing with whatever is coming through, I can still hear and feel in control, but it starts to then almost feel to me like an out of body experience. Like I'm here, but I'm not fully here. And I can hear and I'm present with what's being said, but there's part of me that isn't, I don't know if it's not, I'm not attached to what I'm saying, or it's just flowing so much that there's no thought. I'm not thinking about what I'm supposed to be saying. Right. So it almost feels like it's detached because there's no, like, I'm not trying to filter what I'm saying, or there's no attachment to what I'm saying. I'm just letting it flow and saying what I'm saying. So to me, it almost feels like an out of body experience because there's no physical part of me that is attached to that's just flowing through me.
That's nice.
And yet there's no fear around it. Like, I don't think that somebody is taking over me. There's no fear in it whatsoever. I know I'm in control. I'm just not attached to the message that's coming out. So it feels detached from me, but without fear. There's no fear, and nobody is taking over me. There's no feeling in me that somebody has come in and taken over me.
Absolutely.
Right. It just flows so well that they're like the brain, the mind, the monkey mind has moved over, and I am just allowing it to flow through.
Right. And I agree with that, because when after you asked the question and I started, talking, I'm like, I forgot the question.
Right.
And I was like, I'm like, it doesn't matter, because you just have to keep talking like it's coming through, because that will answer the question. I was like, so yeah, I was trusting, and I'm like, I'm just getting out of the way because this is beautiful, and what I'm seeing
Right.
is, was coming through. I knew it was it felt good. So
Funny you said that, because that's exactly how I feel. When I ended, I was like, I hope I answered your question, because I forgot what the question was.
So it's not about
Yeah.
us.
Right. Right. So, I mean, simply, I wanted us to go over this because I wanted everyone to realize that it's different for everyone. There's no right and wrong. You know, it's getting comfortable with what you're comfortable with and practicing. So, you know, like me and Laurie have mentioned several people, Lee Harris, Sarah Landon, Esther Hicks. Do not compare. There's no comparison. Don't compare. Your message is just as value as anybody else's, and it doesn't have to look or feel like anyone else.
That's right. Good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
would have to say too, that Lori writes guided meditations. So those are channeled as
Mhm.
well. And that's just beautiful. So there's many different forms and outlets that you can take.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. I just sit, I try to think of, you know, the feeling or what I would like to come through. Like, you know, I did one about spring and the energy of spring. And then I just sat quietly and started writing. And suddenly I had written a meditation. It's just that simple. But it's taking the time to sit with it and just trusting. I just sat and trusted. I just kept writing. You know, sometimes, and it just flowed through and it felt great. So, yeah.
And it touches other people too, because what happens is when you're speaking from love and the truth, that resonates with other people right here. And it might help them, something they're going through. You never know what's
Mhm.
going to resonate with someone or how it'll help. So we're all here for each other. I firmly believe that. And it's an honor to be a part of this community. So
Mhm.
we'd love to, we just wanted to, if for anyone that's interested in what channeling is and how it works, this is our experience, and we'd love to hear about your questions or your experiences with channeling. It's a beautiful experience to explore for yourself.
Mhm. Yes. And if you have any questions, clarity that you would like answered, like I said, we're open to you asking, and maybe we'll have another episode where we channel those questions and answers. And that's kind of sounds fun to me.
That would be
Me
fun.
and Lori are used to,
Mhm.
you know, maybe me and Lori are running out of questions to ask each other and need your help. Or just to change the energy around it, right? We're very used to one another. So it would be interesting to hear other people's questions.
It would be great.
So
Yeah.
yeah, either personal or expansive for the whole community. So yeah, yeah. Well, thank you for allowing us to share with us what we're excited about right now and the new journey and adventure we're taking. Um, and to be able to practice with you. So we thank you. And we look forward to hearing what you have to say in your questions. Thank you for now.
Thank you. Bye for now.